With us today. Would you agree with those assessments that there was no cohesive argument that was made for why these are legal, justified strikes?
Do not follow, you do not have to follow illegal orders. You know why? Because if this is deemed to have been war crimes, which by all accounts right now, there are 7 sources that said Pete Hegseth did say kill them all.
But if there's any more stories like this, this is egregious, and this is way below the honor of the United States military.
Chances are it's just fishermen.
They're not here to fish.
Like and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notification anytime I go live or make a video. Hey, make sure you download my podcast, The Officer Tatum Show, on the podcast network. Let's get into this. I think he's done a really good job. I say this in almost every single, I guess the last term he did, and this term, if they weren't trying to kill him every day, I mean, the country would be a better place. You would think that what they would do is say, I understand what he's trying to do. I don't like the way he's doing it. I think he could do better. Let me give some advice, or let me assist him into doing what's right for the country if they disagree with him. But they don't. They want him to die. They want him to go to prison. They want everything for him to do to be a failure, even if it costs the country everything. They do not want to support him. It's almost like the left, and they just continue to do this over and over. And I wish that we could finally come together at some point and say, let's put our pride aside. Let's try to work with the president to get things done for the American people.
I think the word that I keep coming back to is legitimacy. I think the left has never considered him to be a legitimate president. This goes all the way back to 2016. They couldn't believe they lost. They invented the whole lie about Russia stole the election. But what was born of that was an entire political party that therefore never believed he was legitimate. And if you believe that, then what you would expect your leaders to do is to keep him from acting as the president. Try to throw him in jail. Shut down the government to keep him from doing anything. Try to get the military not to follow orders so he can't be the commander-in-chief. To me, it all goes back to this issue of they just have never accepted the legitimacy of Donald Trump. And the bottom line is he won twice. He got more votes every time he ran.
Right.
He is the legitimately elected president. The Democrats won't accept it. And their political base sort of expects these Democratic politicians to do things to effectively try to grind our country to a halt and really, I think, inject chaos into Washington, D.C. That's what the government shutdown was. It's chaos. To tell the military, oh, we'll come back later and prosecute you if you follow his orders, that's anarchy. That's chaos.
I can't speak to the law of it. I don't know, I'm not a geopolitical expert, but in terms of the law of it, you're right, Sarah. That is why those Army vets explained, do not follow, you do not have to follow illegal orders. You know why? Because if this is deemed to have been war crimes, which by all accounts right now, there are 7 sources that said Pete Hegseth did say kill them all, even after there were 2 survivors, which you're supposed to do under international law. You are supposed to take those fighters as war criminals, prisoners of war, and you're supposed to give them refuge, and you're supposed to take care of them, and then you are supposed to put them into a court of law.
To tell the military, oh, we'll come back later and prosecute you if you follow his orders, that's anarchy. That's chaos. But to me, it goes back to this issue of legitimacy.
Yeah, they struggle with that loss. I think they still have a sour taste in their mouth because Donald Trump is not an easy pill to swallow, because they talked all that stuff. They did him the way they did him. And now they thought he would go away and never come back. And now they got to face the music of what they did to him. And he's very harsh. He's not going to take no prisoners when it comes to this. He's going to call them out and expose them for what they have done to him over the years, what they've done to the American people over the years. And it's bizarre to me that they continue this madness. Telling the military to not obey commands, it puts a lot of people in danger, in my opinion, because I think that's more dangerous than actually listening to unlawful commands. Because where do you draw the line at what you will do or what you won't do? Where do you, like the Supreme Court will make a justification on saying whether or not Donald Trump can do that legitimately according to the law and interpretation of the law. Let me tell you something. I believe with all of my heart that every life has value. That's why I proudly stand with Save the Storks. They don't just talk about being pro-life, they live it. They are Life Army, meeting women where they are and showing compassion, truth, and hope before it's too late. Right now, there are 108 mobile medical units or stork buses across the country reaching women before they make a devastating choice or attempt their own abortion. These buses offer ultrasounds, counseling, and real support, giving moms the chance to choose life. But the mission needs you too. We're raising $500,000 to build and place multiple stork buses in Charlie's honor, and each one will be named after Erica Kirk as they travel across the country fighting for life. We need everybody to give generously and to stand up and to be part of something bigger than themselves. And for every gift of $50 or more, you will receive this free Life Army t-shirt. Join me in the Life Army. Together, we can help more moms, save more babies, and change more futures. So go to SaveTheStorks.com/Tatum or scan the QR code on the screen now to donate. When you're on a fighter jet and you get a command for your commander that you have to strike something, you make the decision unilaterally yourself to say, well, I'm not going to do that because I don't think it's right. That's not how it should operate.
And what's crazy is it's not even really subtle. What they're saying to the military is, well, if you follow these orders today, in a few years when we're back in charge, if we're back in charge, we're going to come back and decide then if those were illegal orders, and we'll hold you responsible.
Yeah.
And so, the average military person, remember after Ferguson, they had the thing called the Ferguson effect. Police officers, you know this. How many police officers were worried about carrying out legitimate law enforcement operations because they were worried Democratic politicians were going to come back later and try to ruin their lives, throw them in jail? It happened all over the place. The same could be true with the military here. Trying to sow doubt in the minds of somebody who's on the front lines of some military operation, make them hesitate, puts lives in danger. The idea that 6 years from now, Democrat politicians are going to go back in time and try to accuse you of doing something illegal. This is so irresponsible. And the people doing it, Mark Kelly, senator here in Arizona, he knows better.
He knows better.
And it's naked politics, and it's awful.
Yeah, these people know better than what they're doing, because when they were in the military, they didn't do that. They wouldn't dare disobey an order, even if they disagreed. All the people who fought in Afghanistan and Iraq, I'm pretty sure they didn't agree with everything that happened there. I'm pretty sure when they said there was no weapons of mass destruction and they didn't see that, they probably felt like, what are we doing here? But you do not disobey a lawful command, because that will get you in trouble faster than what the Democrats are fake promising you. Because if you end up disobeying a command, it comes out with the Supreme Court ruling that it was lawful for Donald Trump to give this action as the commander-in-chief, and you violated and disobeyed the command that he gave you in the moment, you are now in violation of the law. You are now going to rip your whole career apart and potentially go to jail over something when you should have just followed the rules. The president is acting in good faith. Well, here's the thing, Scott. What are they saying that's against the law? That's the part that, and I heard you say this on the show, like, well, when are they going to describe what this thing is that's against the law?
They keep bringing them on to ask them. And the one lady from Michigan, Slotkin, she said, well, there was that movie, A Few Good Men, They're citing Hollywood movies to justify this. Now, what it's really all about is Venezuela. The president has said, and he campaigned on this, I'm going to use our military to keep these terrorists from importing poison into our country. He has broad political support for this, by the way.
U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said on Tuesday that the Pentagon will not release the full unedited video of the September 2nd strikes on a suspected drug boat in the Caribbean.
In keeping with long-standing Department of War policy, Department of Defense policy, of course we're not going to release a top-secret full unedited video of that to the general public.
Hegseth made the comments after he and Secretary of State Marco Rubio conducted briefings on Tuesday for every member of the Senate. They responded to lawmakers' demands for more information about a 3.5-month-long campaign of more than 20 strikes against boats in waters off Venezuela that have killed more than 80 people. The strikes on September 2nd have been of particular concern after it emerged that the commander overseeing the operation ordered a second strike to take out 2 survivors. On Monday, the Pentagon released video of the latest strikes of suspected drug boats. This time, 3 vessels in the Eastern Pacific. The U.S. Southern Command said 8 men were killed in the operation. Democrats left the Senate briefing saying it had been too short and that the Trump administration officials had not seemed prepared to thoroughly answer questions. Republicans generally praised Trump's action, which the administration says is intended to fight trafficking in drugs responsible for the deaths of Americans. The use of the military to attack suspected drug vessels marks a stark departure from how the U.S. has historically dealt with them. The Trump administration has sought to defend the legality of the strikes, which some legal experts have said amount to unlawful extrajudicial killings.
The president has said, and he campaigned on this, I'm going to use our military to keep these terrorists from importing poison into our country. He has broad political support for this, by the way. But the Democrats don't want him using a muscular response to these narco terrorists in our hemisphere. So they put out this video, alluding to the idea that there are illegal orders. They can't name any illegal orders. Then they invent this idea that Pete Hegseth gave illegal orders on this September the 2nd boat strike. Well, it turns out that was a lie. And the admiral in charge of it says, no, I made the call. We were supposed to sink the boat. I had a military lawyer, a JAG officer with me. We assessed it. It was a legal order, and we gave a lawful command, and that's what we did. But the entire run-up to that was Democrats and the Washington Post out there saying, oh, Pete Hegseth himself broke the law, and now he's a war criminal. And here's the thing. It was debunked. We have testimony saying it was debunked. But every Democrat in the country now has taken as an article of faith that Pete Hegseth is a war criminal who needs to go to jail. That's what they try to do. They create narratives, and even though they get debunked later, that's the story they run with. Right. And there's no facts to it, but that's what they want people to believe.
Do you agree with those assessments that there was no cohesive argument that was made for why these are legal, justified strikes?
No. We must have been in a different briefing, or one of us is lying. Rubio was there, Hegseth was there, Chairman Kane was there, lawyers were there. They were very eloquent, they were very thorough. Here's what I took away from it. These military strikes against narco terrorists carrying drugs and boats to the United States are legal. They're effective. Traffic is way down. The intelligence on which they are based is exquisitely good. There are checks and balances at every stage to make sure that innocent people who just happen to be in a boat are not hurt.
So,
go ahead.
I want to just play this from your colleague, Senator Lindsey Graham, asked about the big picture with what the goal is with regard to Maduro and where this mission is going. Watch.
I want to know what's going to happen next. Is it the policy to take Maduro down? If he's still standing when this is over, this is a fatal, major mistake to our standing in the world. If after all this, Maduro is still in power, that's the worst possible signal you could send to Russia, China, Iran.
And it's strategic. People run with it.
Yeah.
They hear the first thing they hear, they travel across the world.
It's an article of faith now. You'll never dislodge it.
Right.
Never.
It's the same thing about the Ferguson thing. Michael Brown, people still probably say hands up,
don't shoot.
And you're like, that was debunked a long time ago, the DOJ.
By Obama's DOJ.
Obama DOJ.
Yes.
And Attorney General Holder and all of these guys. So it was debunked by black folks that this wasn't and people still believe it today.
Believe it.
And they know this. They know this. This is why they get out there. They have no integrity. They're evil in many cases. They know if they throw it out there, they don't care if it gets debunked because nobody cares. They saw the headline. I'm seeing headlines. We do this for a living. And I was worried, like, is there some there? Did Pete Hegseth do something wrong? Could this be catastrophic? And you got the weirdos even on the right that are they sometimes they hate Trump. Somehow they hate Trump now. So everything he does is wrong. I saw somebody that I watch say something about this and say, oh, Pete Hegseth is screwed. They broke the law. And I'm like, so it kind of had me thinking, like, did something happen here? Because it could happen, but I think it's highly unlikely. I really do think Donald Trump is acting in good faith. Man, why do people have a problem? This is how the Democrats lost last time, which I hope that they lose again this time. No one with common sense has a problem that we shut the border down.
No.
No one with common sense. No one with common sense is mad that the crime rate goes down because we have more support in these cities that are overrun by violence. Nobody's mad that drugs aren't coming in our country, killing citizens. So people that have lost their family members to drug addiction and all this stuff, they are watching these boats explode and they go, thank God somebody's doing something about this.
Yes.
What are the Democrats thinking? Do they think this is a winning message?
Well, this comes out in my book, but one of the things Donald Trump has to live with is that if he is for something, the Democrats will reflexively be against it no matter what. I mean, look, the immigration issues all year long. He said, we're going to close the border. We can't do that. We're going to deport people who came here, broke our laws, and they're criminal aliens, and we're going to deport them. We have to stop them. Even, a big part of the book on immigration is about the Kilmer Abrego Garcia guy.
Yeah.
He saw 20 judges. He had an existing deportation order. He was an MS-13 gangbanger. He beat his wife. He was involved in some kind of human trafficking. Go on and on and on. Democrats, they didn't work hard for American citizens this year as they worked for Kilmer Abrego Garcia. He got their best effort. And by the way, he's still here. It's so easy to get here, or it was, and it's so hard to get out. But that's what they fight for. And it just all goes back to this idea. If Trump is for it, we got to be against it. It kills them. That's no way to run a political party, because he often takes positions on issues that really are 80-20 issues. Maybe it's not a good idea if we put boys in girls' locker rooms. That's a 95-5 issue, but Democrats will die on that hill.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a good idea that we let narco terrorists run wild through the Western Hemisphere. Most people agree with that. And yet, here he is. We've got Democrats now fighting harder for the Maduro regime. By the way, we don't even recognize him as a legit president of Venezuela. He's under indictment in the United States. He is a drug lord. And, this is our backyard. The American people expect us to police our own backyard, but mostly to keep the poison out.